What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be testing the S90V Paramilitary 2. I'm sure you guys have all seen this knife before. Mine's kind of dirty. Just carbon fiber scales, S90V blade. It should be very similar to the CTS 20CP knife. But again, that's why we're doing these tests. On paper, it's very similar. It could be a little different in this test. I'm guessing that it will be a little different. I'm guessing this will have a little bit better edge retention, and I'm going to go ahead and say that because I have a 30-degree back bevel with a 40-degree micro bevel. So this edge should be a little bit more stable than the other one. So we'll see how it actually ends up being. Let me make sure I have you guys in focus. Sorry, I'm going to make you hear this. I want to make sure this is in perfect focus, so that'll be the last time you hear it. Put it in 1080p if you're 720p or 1080p, whatever you prefer. This is a hair whittling edge. I just tested it. Figured I'll go ahead and cut, show you that it's extremely sharp. Very sharp. So, in the interest of time, I want to go ahead and start cutting. I'm going to make sure everything's in frame. I stuck this tape here so that I have a good reference point when I'm moving around, and when I throw the rope away, I want to know that I have a good reference point so that I know you're in focus without having to stop and check. So, I'm going to go ahead and start. I do want to say that my last few tests, I've been saying that I was using 3 feet of rope unbraided into 3 strands. Really, I was using about 2 feet and 4 inches. So this is actually 3 feet. So this is actually going to be a little bit more rope than normal, but not a huge jump. But it will be closer to 9 feet of 1/4 inch rope than anything else was. So a lot of people requested that I do the tilt, and I did want to do the tilt. If you see that little bit of rope, that's what I cut with a tilt. The steel should be excellent, but the actual blade shape of the tilt makes it extremely hard to make these slicing cuts. It's a completely straight edge, and it just makes it very, very difficult to cut through this rope. So I'm going to have to figure something else for the tilt, figure something else out for the tilt, but I will do it. So don't just think I'm ignoring you guys that have asked about that. I'm going to go ahead and test the edge real quick. It should be phone book slicing sharp. That's actually phone book push cutting sharp. So pretty much no edge degradation whatsoever. And that's to be expected. S90V is very similar to 20CP, but in my experience, it's a little bit better. If you hear that, that's my phone going off. I seem to be popular tonight. Everybody's wanting to get up with me. Steve Jobs just died, so I don't know if you've heard about that. By the time you're watching this video, I'm sure you will have heard about it. But in case you hadn't, figured I'd let you know. I figured it up. Very simple math. If I'm cutting about 1/2 inch or little 1/2 inch strips each time, and I have 9 feet of rope, that's what, 12? If you have, sorry, I'm not thinking very well while I'm cutting. Need to test the edge. Kind of getting a hot spot. It's still definitely phone book paper slicing sharp. So that is very good after 3 feet of sisal rope. That's very good to still be phone book slicing sharp. I can't think while I'm cutting. I absolutely cannot do math while I'm cutting, even simple math. So if one of you guys wants to figure it up, I mean, it is. If I'm doing, it should be simple math, just 36 times 2 and multiply that by 3. And that'll give you how many cuts I'm making.
216.
216?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my fiance just did it for me. It ends up being 216 cuts on 1/4 inch sisal rope. So that's actually a good bit. That would be representative of, I would say, a good day's hard work cutting rope or something like that. And I know not everybody cuts rope. I really never cut rope in my day-to-day tasks, but it's just a good, reliable, cheap test media. So, some people have requested cardboard, and I will do that, but I don't have any yet. And I don't exactly know how I'm going to add it into the test, so I'm going to have to figure that out. Doing a little bit bigger slices there. I need to tone it down a bit. Go back to my reference point. Still phone book slicing sharp. I don't think any steel, I think 20 CP was close to this, but this is still phone book slicing sharp. There is a few catches in it, but there might actually have been something just stuck to the blade because it's slicing pretty well. I don't know if that was in camera or in frame. So, still slicing phone book paper. That's pretty good. I don't think anything's done that well yet, and I think you're still in focus, so I'm going to chunk this. Alright, back to my point of reference. I've done about 8 minutes so far, so I need to hurry this process along. I think after this I'm going to test S90V so that people have a good idea of how long that more ubiquitous steel compares to some of the more exotic super steels. And I need to get a base that doesn't move around. That's one thing I really need to do because it's very annoying having to reset each time I make a cut. Gonna try some push cuts here. That's pretty good. This is going to be like 20 CP in that it loses its fine edge and retains a toothy edge. Pretty much what we've done is expose the carbides in the steel matrix. So those vanadium carbides are now on the exposed on this edge, and they're kind of acting like a saw. Very similar to a saw and how it cuts. Go ahead and test it again. I'll be surprised if it's still slicing phone book paper, but it is. That is pretty amazing. That's much better than 20 CP. Much better than 20 CP after 72 inches of rope. That is pretty amazing. Go ahead and slice it again. And I don't think this has to do with the steel so much as the edge geometry. So keep that in mind. I think 20 CP with this same edge geometry would perform about the same. So you definitely need to keep that in mind. I'll go ahead and polish off these last 3 feet, making the same kind of cuts. some draw slices. Still slicing extremely well. Extremely well. M4 at this point was not nearly this sharp, so being able to draw slice like this, even at this point, is pretty amazing in itself. Gonna go ahead and check it again. That's pretty neat. I'm even cutting with a tip. The part that I'm actually slicing with, as you can see, that's the tip. Well, can't do it now that I mentioned it. Somebody did mention that I needed to cut with the part. There it goes. That was the tip. All the tip. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off this last 12 inches or so. I'm going to test it again and form my hypothesis. Since this is, I'm just joking, this is nothing scientific about this. This makes me want to give the Para 2 the same edge geometry so I can really see how it compares to S90V. One more cut. Alright, there we go. Let's see. Check my camera. We're good to go. This is going on a little too long. So that was the tip. It's still cutting phone book paper. Every other cut or so. But that is the front half of the blade. Still cutting phone book paper. I haven't had a steel capable of that yet. So that's pretty amazing. I do think it has to do with the edge geometry though. If it'll cut phone book paper, I know that it'll cut this. This is no problem. So this is why S90V is such a popular steel. It's still extremely sharp. As you can see. Hope that was in frame. That's the tip of the knife. I'm using just the tip. So, there you go, guys. That is the Crucible S90V Paramilitary 2. Made 200 something cuts, 270 I think, of 1/4 inch sisal rope, and it's still pretty sharp. Let's see if it'll shave hair. Nope, won't shave hair. Still a really good edge. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.